Taehyung's recent Merry Christmas live initially felt like a simple, warm moment to greet fans during the holiday season. There were no grand stages or elaborate concepts, just Taehyung, a calm atmosphere, and army watching with excitement. Yet, as the live continued, many viewers began to realize that this was more than a casual holiday greeting. There was something deeper hidden in his words. Speaking in his gentle and composed manner, Taehyung delivered his Merry Christmas message in a way that felt uniquely his. He didn't use dramatic or flowery language, but every sentence sounded sincere and heartfelt. The small pauses between his words made it seem as if he was carefully choosing what to say. That simplicity, combined with honesty, is what made the moment so powerful. During the live, Taehyung touched on themes of time, gratitude, and the importance of keeping one's heart warm despite the busyness and challenges of the year. It felt as though he was inviting fans to slow down, take a breath, and appreciate the small moments that often go unnoticed. For many ARMY, his message felt especially meaningful after a year filled with change, anticipation, and emotional distance. What made the Merry Christmas greeting even more special was the way it was delivered, not as an idol on stage, but as a person speaking from the heart. Taehyung's calm gaze, his soft smile, and his soothing tone made countless viewers feel as if he was speaking directly to them. Many fans admitted they became emotional, even though his words were simple and understated. Soon after the live ended, clips and quotes from Taehyung's message spread rapidly across social media. Comment sections filled with expressions of gratitude, longing, and comfort. Some fans shared that his Merry Christmas greeting became a source of healing, for them, especially for those feeling tired, lonely, or overwhelmed at the end of the year. For Taehyung, this Merry Christmas message seemed to represent more than a seasonal celebration. It was about presence, about reminding ARMY that even in quiet moments and across distances, their connection remains. Without making promises or grand statements, he offered reassurance simply by being there. As the live came to a close, the atmosphere remained calm yet deeply memorable. Taehyung's Merry Christmas was not just a holiday greeting, but a gentle reminder of the bond built over the years. A simple moment filled with sincerity that many ARMY will continue to carry with them long after the season has passed. The impact of that short live continued to grow even after the screen went dark. For many ARMY, Taehyung's words lingered not because they were extraordinary, but because they felt real. In an era where content moves quickly and moments are easily forgotten, this live stood out precisely because it asked nothing of the audience, no reactions, no hype, only presence. Fans began reflecting on how Taehyung has always communicated in this way, quietly, thoughtfully, and with emotional depth. His Merry Christmas message felt consistent with the person ARMY has come to know over the years, someone who values sincerity over spectacle. Rather than filling the silence, he allowed it to exist, trusting that his feelings would be understood without explanation. Many viewers also noted how the timing of the live added to its emotional weight. Coming at the end of the year, when people naturally reflect on their journeys, losses, and hopes, Taehyung's calm reassurance felt grounding. His words did not attempt to fix anything or offer solutions. Instead, they acknowledged the heaviness of time while gently encouraging warmth and kindness toward oneself. On social media, fans shared personal stories about where they were while watching the live, some alone in their rooms, others finishing long days of work, and many far from loved ones. Taehyung's presence, even through a screen, became a quiet companion during a season that can feel isolating for many. That shared experience strengthened the sense of community among ARMY worldwide. Ultimately, this Merry Christmas live reminded fans why moments like these matter. Beyond music, performances, or achievements, it is the human connection that leaves the deepest mark. Taehyung did not need to say much to be understood. His sincerity spoke louder than any elaborate gesture. As ARMY moves forward into a new year, this simple live remains a soft memory, one that symbolizes comfort, connection, and trust. Taehyung's Merry Christmas was not just heard, it was felt. And in its quiet way, it became one of those moments that stays, long after the holidays fade. That lingering feeling has since become a point of reflection for many fans, especially those who have followed Taehyung's journey for years. His ability to communicate emotion without excess has long been part of his identity, and this live felt like a quiet continuation of that path. It reminded viewers that growth does not always need to be loud or visible sometimes. It shows itself through restraint and intention. Observers also pointed out how moments like this highlight Taehyung's natural understanding of timing and emotional awareness. By choosing to appear when he did, and by speaking in a way that felt unforced, he created space rather than noise. In a digital landscape filled with constant updates and performances, that choice alone carried meaning. For newer fans, the live served as a gentle introduction to what long-time ARMY often describe as Taehyung's emotional language, one rooted in subtlety and honesty. For those who have been there since the beginning, it felt like a familiar comfort, a reminder of why his words have always resonated beyond language barriers. As discussions continued online, many fans expressed hope that this quiet sincerity would carry into the year ahead, not in the form of promises or expectations, but as reassurance that connection remains even in stillness. The live became less about Christmas itself and more about shared understanding. In the end, Taehyung's Merry Christmas live did what few moments managed to do. It slowed people down. It invited reflection, presence, and warmth at a time when many needed it most. And long after the decorations come down and the season passes, the feeling it left behind continues soft, steady, and deeply human. That sense of quiet understanding continues to resonate, shaping how many fans now look back on the live as more than just a seasonal moment. It became a pause in the noise of everyday life, a reminder that connection does not always need constant affirmation. Sometimes simply showing up with sincerity is enough. Several fans noted that Taehyung's words felt especially comforting because they carried no pressure. There was no call to act, no expectation to respond, and no attempt to frame the moment as something monumental. Instead, it felt like a shared silence, gently filled with meaning. In that way, the live reflected a maturity in how Taehyung chooses to communicate, allowing space for listeners to interpret and feel in their own way. As the days passed, the live continued to be revisited through clips and conversations, not out of hype but out of comfort. Fans returned to it during quiet moments, treating it almost like a safe place rather than a performance. This ongoing engagement showed how deeply the message had settled, becoming part of the emotional landscape ARMY carries into the new year. Looking ahead, many believe this moment subtly hints at the direction Taehyung may continue to take, one focused on authenticity, emotional clarity, and meaningful presence rather than spectacle. While nothing was explicitly stated, the live itself felt like a statement that sincerity still matters, and that genuine connection can exist even in simplicity. Ultimately, Taehyung's Merry Christmas live stands as a reminder of the power of understated moments. In its calm and unassuming way, it offered comfort, reflection, and reassurance. Long after the season ends, it remains a quiet echo, one that speaks not loudly, but truthfully. That quiet echo continues to live on in subtle ways, woven into daily conversations and personal reflections among fans. Long after the live ended, its influence remained present not as a headline moment, but as a feeling that resurfaced during moments of stillness. For many, it became something they carried quietly, a reminder that warmth can exist even in silence. Some fans described how revisiting the live helped them reframe their own experiences at the end of the year. Instead of focusing on what was unfinished or unresolved, Taehyung's gentle message encouraged acceptance and patience with time, with circumstances, and with oneself. In this sense, the live became less about Taehyung speaking and more about what listeners found within themselves while listening. What stood out most was how naturally the moment aligned with Taehyung's long-established artistic identity. Throughout his career, he has often expressed emotion through nuance rather than intensity, and this live felt like a continuation of that language. It reaffirmed why his presence resonates so deeply. He does not demand attention, yet he holds it. As Army gradually moved forward into the new year, the memory of that Merry Christmas Live remained quietly reassuring. It did not promise what comes next, nor did it try to define the future. Instead, it offered something simpler and perhaps more lasting, a sense of steadiness. In the end, Taehyung's Merry Christmas Live became more than a greeting or a moment in time. It became a shared pause, a collective breath, and a reminder that sincerity, when offered without expectation, has the power to stay. That sense of steadiness continues to shape how fans remember the moment, not as something tied to a specific date, but as an emotional reference point. In a fast-moving world where attention often shifts quickly, Taehyung's Live remains an exception recalled not for spectacle, but for the calm it brought. It became a quiet benchmark for sincerity in an increasingly crowded digital space. Many fans also reflected on how rare it feels to experience such unguarded authenticity from an artist at Taehyung's level. Without elaborate production or scripted words, he allowed himself to simply exist in front of his audience. That choice alone spoke volumes, reinforcing the trust between him and Army. A trust built not on constant reassurance, but on consistent honesty. Over time, the Live has taken on a personal meaning for different people. For some, it represents comfort during solitude. For others, a reminder to slow down and listen more closely to themselves and to others. Its impact was not uniform, yet that very openness allowed each viewer to connect in their own way. As conversations around the Live continue, it stands as a subtle contrast to the typical expectations placed on public figures. Taehyung did not attempt to define the moment or guide the narrative. Instead, he left space for interpretation, trusting that meaning would emerge naturally. That quiet confidence became part of the message itself. Ultimately, Taehyung's Merry Christmas Live endures as a moment, defined by presence rather than performance. It did not seek to be remembered, yet it was. And in its gentle persistence, it serves as a reminder that the most lasting connections are often formed not through grand gestures, but through sincerity, patience, and shared silence. That lasting impression has now settled into collective memory, becoming one of those moments fans return to not out of nostalgia, but out of need. In times of noise, pressure, or uncertainty, Taehyung's Merry Christmas Live stands as a reminder that calm and authenticity still have a place. It showed that presence alone, when offered sincerely, can be deeply reassuring. The significance of the Live lies not in what was promised or revealed, but in what was shared, a quiet understanding between artist and audience. Taehyung did not frame the moment as something special, yet it became meaningful precisely because it was unforced. By allowing silence, reflection, and honesty to exist side by side, he created a space where fans could feel seen without being addressed directly. In conclusion, Taehyung's Merry Christmas Live was more than a seasonal greeting or a brief appearance. It became an emotional anchor, a soft pause that reminded many of the value of slowing down and staying present. In a world that often demands constant output and explanation, this moment proved that sincerity needs neither volume nor spectacle to be felt. As the chapter closes, the memory of that Live remains quietly intact. Not loud, not fleeting, but steady. A simple moment that continues to resonate, long after the holidays have passed, carried forward in shared silence, mutual trust, and the enduring warmth of genuine connection.